This is the story of a 35-year-old man who feels defeated. He hasn't stopped trying, but the results he expects never arrive. His life has been defined by hurdles he didn't choose: a toxic, restrictive home, natural talent that was suppressed by constant family stress, a nervous breakdown that damaged his memory, followed by years of job applications that led nowhere. He watches others achieve with a fraction of his effort. He sees individuals who ignore every moral boundary, yet accumulate massive wealth, while he remains stuck in a cycle of rejection. It leads him to a heavy internal question: is my struggle the result of my own incompetence, or is God actively blocking my path because of my sins? We often view the world through a transactional lens. We treat the universe like a vending machine. We insert a specific amount of hard work, and a predictable unit of success drops out. But in reality, the machine frequently jams. The effort goes in, but the expected outcome stays out of reach. To understand why that happens, we have to look past the vending machine myth. Our lives are actually governed by two distinct sets of laws that operate in tandem. The first layer consists of cosmic causes, al-asbab al-kawniyah. These are the physical rules God programmed into the functioning of the universe. These laws are indifferent to faith. Studying leads to learning, working leads to income. The physical system rewards actions, not character, explaining why a corrupt person achieves wealth. However, these laws aren't autonomous. God can allow a cause to work, or completely strip its power. This is why a student who prepares perfectly can still fail. On the day of the exam, the memory they built through physical study might be momentarily clouded, or their health might give way. This disruption is guided by wisdom. God might block a worldly outcome to steer someone away from a future harm, or to test the sincerity of their devotion when things stop making sense. Relying solely on your own effort makes your stability fragile. Ibn al-Qayyim compared trusting only in worldly causes to clinging to a spider's web. It appears structured, but has no real strength to hold you. That brings us to the second layer, Sharia causes. These are spiritual actions that exert a real influence on our physical circumstances. Maintaining family ties and practicing piety are described in the texts as actions that expand a person's provision and success in this life. These are spiritual keys to physical doors. But a common error occurs when believers try to use spiritual actions as a substitute for physical effort. You cannot replace a night of study with a night of prayer and expect to master the material. As the Prophet Muhammad noted, knowledge comes by learning. The spiritual and physical must work together. Think of them as two gears: physical exertion and spiritual obedience. For your life to function reliably, both must turn. When the spiritual gear engages with the physical, you seek divine reinforcement, asking the Creator to preserve your hard work so it isn't wasted. Spiritual obedience doesn't replace the work, it protects the work. It ensures that your physical efforts aren't rendered useless by unseen factors. If we apply this to the man in our story, we see that his failure was a disruption of the physical causes, whether by his environment or a divine test. It wasn't necessarily a sign of God's anger. After all, wealth is not a metric of divine love. The Quran points to figures like Pharaoh or Qarun, men who commanded immense gold and monuments. They mastered every cosmic cause and achieved total worldly dominance. Yet, despite their riches, they lived in a state of spiritual ruin. Their wealth could not buy them a moment of peace when the divine decree turned against them. This reveals a deeper truth. A person can have all the money in the world and still suffer from a restless heart. This internal constriction is the true form of failure, a heart that is disconnected from its creator and therefore never at rest. Real success, the good life mentioned in the Quran, is found in a heart that remains tranquil, regardless of whether the bank account is full or empty. It is the peace of knowing you did your part and trusting the rest to God. Master the physical causes, work with excellence. Fortify the spiritual causes, pray and obey. But detach your self-worth from the final result. Leave the outcome to the wisdom of the one who knows what you do not.